All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and feature titan today, Lauren Schneider. Lauren, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you being on the show. It's an honor, it really is.
Thank you. It's an honor to be on.
Awesome. And I'm super excited for everybody out there. I know there's a lot of anticipation with this particular episode to really get to know you better, deeper as a person, a professional. So let's just dive right in if you're all right with that.
Sounds good.
Cool. So first question, I guess tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I moved to Colorado Springs when I was 10 years old, so not a native, but this is all I know, and
Okay.
I love this city. It just has such a special place in my heart. So moved here for my father's job. I was a 10-year-old aspiring figure skater.
Get out of
And
here.
so
Okay.
moving to Colorado Springs was like a dream come true. Top training center. I got to train with the best. I had the best coaches. And, you know, to this day, my best friends in life come from my skating days.
Okay.
So 16 years of skating. I was lucky enough to be nationally ranked through high school. It feels like a million years ago, but
Come on. Wow.
definitely a huge part of my, my childhood and growing up. So graduated from Cheyenne Mountain High School, went to University of Denver for a short stint, and
Okay.
realized very quickly that I did not want those student loans. So came back to UCCS, graduated from there with my business degree.
Wow.
Met my husband shortly after college. We were actually set up on a blind date.
Okay, so it actually works.
It-
They do work, everybody.
It was my one and only blind date, and I guess
Wow.
the rest is history. But funny story, we were set up by two realtors,
Okay.
Scott Ignatius and Miranda Price. So
Wow.
we were, sitting at happy hour, and my husband's a lender, so I had the lender, the two realtors. It was like we were buying a home. But that was our introduction. So we've been married almost 6 years now, and we have two beautiful children, Brooke and Braden. Brooke is 3.5, and Braden will be 2 next month.
Wow, love that. I mean, and that's it's just so interesting how life goes, and the backgrounds that everybody has is so different and so amazing, but we all kind of gravitate towards that top mindset of really driving traffic and going through. So I love that particular story. I want to get into the business side of that. What got you into the business in the first place? Why real estate? I mean, what was your path to where you are today?
Yes, so I had probably one of the least traditional paths you could have.
Love it.
I was lucky enough out of college to land a job in my degree field. So I worked for CoBank out of Denver. They are the largest ag lending institution in the country.
Wow.
So amazing corporate training programs, leadership development programs. I was in a rotational credit program where I got to travel to different cities and travel throughout different avenues of the business and just really learn it inside and out. So amazing career field. I transferred to Farm Credit of Southern Colorado, which is in Colorado Springs. Worked my way up to vice president of capital markets.
Wow.
So I managed a $300 million portfolio. Loved my job. I'm probably the most loyal corporate person you could find.
Unreal.
So it's funny that I'm not still there, and I planned on working my entire career there. Found out that we were expecting.
Okay.
So as you know, children change everything.
Yes.
So we're creeping up towards having Brooke, and my desire to go back to work was dwindling. So,
Fair enough. Fair
yes.
enough.
So, had Brooke, went in and talked to HR about 6 weeks after she was born. And I said, I just have to be honest with you. My heart's not in it. I don't plan on coming back, and I quit.
Wow.
So I had to call my husband, which is an uncomfortable call, and tell him I quit.
Wow.
And so anyways, went home. I was a stay-at-home mom for a couple months, and I have so much respect for stay-at-home moms. It's the hardest job in the world, and I couldn't do it. I felt like I was missing a piece of me. I wasn't fulfilled. And so I talked to my husband, and he's been a top VA lender in town for 12 years now.
Love it.
And, so I said, what if I become your loan officer assistant? And he said, no, our marriage would be on the line. That's not going to work. So
hey, he knew.
He was honest, yes.
Yeah.
So he said, I've always had this idea. He said, I know all the questions that the VA buyer asks. What is my BAH? What's a VA mortgage payment? How far is this home from Fort Carson, from Peterson? And he said, I don't feel like there's that great resource that just answers all of those questions. And he said, what do you think about kind of heading up a project to build a website that caters to the VA buyer, that answers all of their questions? You could be in charge of content development, blogging, really take on this project. Would that be interesting to you? And I said, well, that sounds fantastic. So I had no idea what I was getting into.
Sure.
I started researching, found a great web developer that I'm still partnered with today, Real Estate Webmasters. They're amazing.
Right.
But found out very quickly that to launch a website, you need an IDX feed. And to get an IDX feed, you need a real estate license. So I started studying and passed my test in about 4 weeks. And my intent at the time was build this great system, and maybe I could be a referral source. Maybe I could generate these high quality leads and refer them out to agents in town. What I didn't think through was that I was completely unproven. I had no real estate background. I had an unproven website and an unproven system.
Wow.
And so to get to work, I had to get to work. I had to do it myself. So, yeah, I kind of fell in that way. Never planned on being a realtor, still to this day. I don't know how it happened, but it's been an amazing blessing.
Unreal. I mean, and like you said, what an odd way or different way to get involved in the community of real estate that way. And obviously, what you've done and the due diligence and the time frame speaks volumes, right? The legacy and impact that you've had thus far in the community is fantastic, phenomenal, and the love and support that's there. Obviously, the engine that you built with the team and support that's around you is doing really well. So that speaks for itself.
It's a labor of love. It's got to continue feeding it, but we jokingly refer to the website militaryhomesearch.com as our third child. At the time, it was our second child, but we have another one now. So
there it is. Go check out the child. I mean, that's kind of great. Well, so in that, with what's going on with real estate and obviously the impact that's happening, I mean, this is a beautiful segue to me is Lauren, really, what's your why? I mean, what motivates you and drives you to do what you do to the level that you do it at?
Yeah, so that's a loaded question. I think I have a couple of whys. So one would be my children. Having a daughter I just feel like it's so important as a mother to show her that I can be a business owner, I can be very successful in work, but I can be an amazing mother and try, as much as there's no perfect balance, I try so hard, right? I try to balance it all and just set a good example. And I know I'm succeeding a little bit because I'll go to show homes on the weekend and she'll, meet me at the door and she'll be like, Mom, I have to go sell a home with you. I want to work with you. And I love that because she's learning the importance of hard work and a great work ethic. So those two definitely motivate me. Another deeply personal reason, and I found very early on, and it was a scary feeling to me because I was used to the corporate world, but the fear of burnout in real estate is very real. Right. And, our days are long. They can be successful or unsuccessful, and it kind of comes in waves. And so I was about a year in, and I started to feel like as much good as I was doing for my clients and the business was thriving, I needed a deeper meaning, and I needed to find a charity partner. Wow. And so I was lucky enough to find Joe and Shelley Lewis with Angels of America's Fallen. Oh, yeah. They actually live in Pine Creek, so they live in my neighborhood. Okay. And I just absolutely love their mission. So what they do is they support children of fallen service members in an activity that the child, gravitates towards. So whether it's swimming, karate, ballet, piano lessons, and they support that child through age 18. So just an amazing mission. And so I've partnered with them over the last 2 years. I've been able to donate $25,000. I hope to continue to be able to step that up every year. But what's cool is, the more successful the business is, the more I can give back. And that's a huge why. And it's really, really important to me.
Love that. I mean, I just want to address, obviously, both of those. What a beautiful example for your daughter as far as I'm concerned, that you're setting. I mean, that is such a beautiful why is family and what you're doing in the community and legacy. That's fantastic. I don't find there to be a greater why to me than family. On second note, onto that charity, and I think that that's such a beautiful thing that you get to a point where it's bigger than us. It's bigger than our immediate family. What can we do to make a bigger impact? And you're doing that. So just so everybody knows, I will have a link down in the comments below so that you can take a look at that charity that Lauren was talking about, and that way you can get involved if you want to. So I will have that in there as well.
Thank you.
So great stuff going on there. So are you all right? We go into the next question into
Yes.
that? Okay, so this is one of the crowd pleasers when it comes down to it, because there's so many professionals, whether junior or seasoned, that love this particular question. They want to learn and really grow their business, very similar to how the Titans have done. So if you could look back at your business thus far, pick or choose one or two things that you added to your business that took it from one level to the next. What's that look like for you?
Gosh, it's a little bit of a difficult question just because
Sure.
I'm only 3 years in, so
Right.
I feel like I'm still very, I guess, in the infancy stage. But I will say, when I first started, I was very transactional based. You know,
Okay.
I was getting these internet leads, I was getting them across the finish line, and I think something that really took my business to the next level was learning to add the relationship aspect.
Wow.
That is, you know, and it's so common sense, but you can get caught up in the day-to-day. So I think adding, you know, the client events, adding just like the random phone call, like, how are you doing? I saw your kiddo was in the hospital. Like, you know, can I come see you guys? And so that's been huge, and it's been so great because we have, you know, we have such a support base with our past clients, and that's, you know, business breeds business, and it's just good for the community. And so I guess, I mean, I know that's kind of all a roundabout answer, but yeah, just not being so transactional, being more relationship based has been a huge secret, I guess. And it's not a secret, but
right. But it can seem that way. I mean, it seems, as you mentioned, commonplace or common sense that this is a people business, but truly getting involved with the fundamentals.
Yeah.
You built a beautiful engine, you know, lead generating and everything that's going on, but what you do with that exposure, what you do with those leads is exactly what you stated. And some people can churn and burn and grow through, but you're building something bigger, something greater, because you truly care. These are people, right? Not transactions.
And they're my friends. Like, when I look at
listen to this.
When I look at my kids' birthday parties, it's like those are our clients' kids, but like those are my friends. And you know, at the Angels of America's Fallen Gala in February, we were lucky enough to have 18 clients with us at our tables, but like those are my friends, and I'm just so grateful.
And that speaks volumes about who you are and what you do, because clients becoming friends and family, there's more to it than just a transaction. So again, that's setting the bar to a higher standard. As real estate professionals out here, this is a perfect example. So I definitely want to go into the next question, and this one is the tricky one of this, you know, particular interview process and the series. It's the challenge question. So we all deal with challenges in our lives. No one's exempt. Whether it's in the past, now, or into the future, we all have to deal with them. But I think it's really not so much what happens, but how we respond. I truly believe that. So if you're comfortable with sharing a challenge you dealt with, Lauren, that you really overcame and became stronger because of it, what's that look like for you?
Sure. I think this is a really easy question, and it pertains to my real estate career.
Okay.
But I came on the scene pretty quick, and I did a lot of business. So year one, I closed 98 transactions.
Huge.
It's and with that comes good and bad, and you get negative feedback. And it was brand new to me. I mean, and as much as like I'm from a figure skating background, obviously there's gonna be, you know, it's not all roses there.
Right.
The corporate world, you have corporate politics, but this was brand new to me. It was really hard for me to stomach, and to the point of, you know, I was pregnant with my youngest, and I actually went to the hospital and went into early labor, and it was my own stress having a physical manifestation, essentially, just because I didn't have thick enough skin. I couldn't handle negative feedback.
Wow.
And what's cool is, as you know, post good numbers year after year, and as you meet more people and you get to share your story and, you know, interact with more people in the community, whether they're realtors, lenders, home inspectors, you start to gain respect with,
Sure.
doing a lot of transactions and kind of building a really solid reputation. And so I definitely was able to turn what was potentially a negative persona into a very positive one. And it's been huge, and it's been a great experience of self-growth, and I'm very grateful for it, because I've learned how to have thicker skin and how to have those uncomfortable conversations. If you hear something that maybe is not quite right, it's okay to address it. So yeah, that would be a challenge.
And thanks for sharing, because it's not easy to do, especially airing everything out to everybody here. I do want to address, and this is thrown around a lot, but there always is going to be a negative nature, and the larger and more successful you become, there's a lot more criticism that is attached to that. Some people would say haters are always going to hate. I think that that's a part of it. The point that I love that you're addressing is that it takes time to build a reputation into community, and a good one at that. I mean, there's that old adage, it takes years to build a good reputation. It takes but a moment to ruin it. And I think that so many people out there are so judgmental, and I guess the moral of that story is, let's stop judging each other as much as we're doing, and just be happy that other people are having success. Success breeds more success.
It does.
Any top producer under any circumstance, under any field, they want to give. They want other people to succeed. It's the naysayers and the negative people that they maybe don't have the ability to do so, or don't have the confidence to do so, or even attempt to do what you do. And that's where the hatred or negativity comes from. And let's just try to be a little bit more positive out there, everybody. I mean, and that's just my opinion.
Now, on the flip side, there are so many amazing people in the community that say positive things and that are doing positive things. And that's a huge lesson, too, is like, ignore the negativity, because look at all the amazing professionals, and they're all doing such great things. And as much as Colorado Springs is like I guess it's a medium-sized city,
right,
we have so much talent here. Like, when I go to different conferences, I'm always amazed that I would consider some of the top minds to live here. And like, how lucky are we?
Well said. I agree with you 100%. I think that that's so true under so many circumstances, and I love that you address the positivity. There are so many beautiful people in this community, in this industry, that are doing things right to those higher standards. So shout out to all of you guys that are watching or listening to that. Definitely get kudos for that. So let's move on to a slightly softer topic, if that's okay. So we made it through the challenge question. This is actually one of my favorites, and this is the travel back in time portion. So if you could travel back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice or two, what would you say to young Lauren?
I think we were kind of talking about this before, before we went live, but the perfectionism aspect of, how we want to just hold ourselves to that standard. I think just letting it go, like, let the small stuff go. Don't sweat the small stuff. Just keep moving on. And it relates to personal life and professional life, but things go wrong all day, every day, and just don't sweat it.
Wow. And there's so much to that so many people that are watching or listening, myself included, that ultra resonates. As you said before we went live, it's like, oh yeah, you want things to look a certain way and sound a certain way, and perfection truly is an illusion, and you do the best you can, you be the best version of yourself, and move forward, and people will appreciate who you are and what you do. Some people won't, and that's okay. But I think that the analysis, or the paralysis of analysis, does happen to a lot of people with that mindset, and I'm not lying, it's happened to me several times, and you want to keep moving forward, and I love that. That's great advice for your younger self, but everybody who's watching or listening, for sure. So cool, let's go into one of the absolute top crowd pleasers into this particular series, and this is the feeding of the mind question. So a lot of the viewers, new or seasoned, they're in the business, they want to know how the Titans are growing their minds, how they're feeding and continually growing their business that way. So if you could look back, books that had influence on you that you read, or podcasts you're listening to, influences on social media or coaches, how are you feeding your mind?
So it's a funny question, because I have an almost 2-year-old and a 3.5-year-old. So highly intellectual reading doesn't happen a lot in our house.
That's fair.
There are a lot of Disney bedtime stories. We have a lot of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse going on constantly.
Yes.
But I will say, for the last decade, my morning routine has been get up, check email, kind of peruse Wall Street Journal, and
Okay.
that's been a huge, it just puts me in a good mindset, like knowing what's going on in the world, what do I need to be aware of. So I love doing that. You know, when I think of books that have had an impact on my life, I love 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's
Great.
such a go-to. I mean, and it's one you can revisit time and time again. So, and I'm sure others have mentioned that before, but great read, you know, to visit anytime.
For sure.
And then in terms of social influencers, I guess my answer to that would be more, it would be smaller to my sphere. So maybe not, you know, per se national influencers, but but someone who lives in our community, Andrew Fortune, Great Colorado Homes. That guy is so brilliant. Like one of the top SEO minds. I love talking to him. Like he is just so smart, and he has such great perspective and great advice. So he would definitely be a top one. Morgan Carey, he's president of my web developer company. Like one of the sharpest minds in real estate, and highly controversial. Like he's not afraid to say, you know, what's on his mind, but such, like just an amazing guy. And if I want instant advice or instant feedback, I shoot him a Facebook message. 30 seconds later, I have a response. Like, he's such a relationship-oriented person, and amazing. And so some other people, you know, that come to mind are, they're my friends, the Funks. They run Realty in Orlando. They're with EXP, one of the top EXP teams.
Love it.
They are, and I hope they're watching, they are always on video. They're so smart with their social content. Love talking to them, you know, picking their brains. And they're very much like owning the Orlando market.
Awesome.
But I'm sure soon they'll be, you know, expanding greater. So just cool to surround yourself with people that are, you know, just thinking bigger than you, and it pushes you, you know, to further limits. So, yeah, I love my sphere.
That's awesome. And I love that you mentioned some local individuals as well as, you know, outside of that sphere, and I think that's an important note to take. I do want to say a shout out to Andrew.
Yes.
He is amazing. I love him. He's a fellow Titan, so hopefully you're watching, my friend. You're always a pleasure and a blessing to be around. So I love that you had mentioned that for sure. So I will have links in the comments down below so you can follow and feed your mind the same way that Lauren's doing. And again, don't forget to engage. If there's certain topics or points that you really love that Lauren had mentioned, you know, whether it's highlights or advice, you know, throw some comments in there. Get involved with this conversation. This is not a one-sided way at all, so please engage with this particular episode. So, Lauren, this has been absolutely spectacular. I mean, the amount of information has just been phenomenal. Getting to know you deeper is just fantastic. Hopefully everybody feels this energy. It's just wonderful. I want to wrap everything up with a final question. When it comes down to it, it's the quote and or mantra. So if you could sum up your name, your brand, you as a person, a professional, with a quote or a mantra that you live by, what's that look like for Lauren Schneider?
So it's not highly motivational, but my my favorite quote is, "If you want to change the world, go home and love your family."
Wow.
And I really try to live that out every day. That as much as, you know, business obligations are huge, your family obligations are bigger. So just trying to love on my family as much as I can, so that I have the energy to go out and love on my clients. So.
I think that that's beautiful, and it speaks volumes about who you are and obviously what matters in the community and your family. Lauren, this has been fantastic. Thanks again. You are an official Real Estate Titan, so this is fantastic. Again, everybody, thank you so much for your time and attention, your love and support. As always, if you love what we're doing here with Real Estate Titans, show us some support and love with that, with likes on the Facebook page, subscribe to YouTube, and check us out on iTunes, Spotify, or Google Podcasts. Live every Tuesday and Friday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location. We'll catch everybody on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.